All right, so as it currently stands, I feel like there are so many parallels between Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines and Cyberpunk 2077. For me, so far, just like even having two or three parallels is enough to say a lot for me because it's been so long since I've experienced a game that makes me think of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines so often. This game absolutely does. And it does make sense because Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and Cyberpunk 2077 both have their roots in like tabletop RPGs, right? So it does make sense that these two games have the same feeling to them if they were done correctly, right? They should both feel about the same. Like people who role played in Cyberpunk and all those years ago shared a lot in common with people that played Vampire the Masquerade, right? Because many of the rules were similar, many of the story setups would be similar. It was a very like World of Darkness and Cyberpunk share a lot in common. No surprise there. But the one thing that I really find interesting is like how some of the side quests and stories in this game feel so similar. It's so eerie. It's so eerie. Okay, so there was this one mission with snuff films in this game, right? So you're having to find where a very important character is being held, and she's kind of wrapped up in this gringy underworld of snuff films. And in Bloodlines, you go into Hollywood, you have to meet the Baron. I think his name was Isaac, and the first thing he wants to do is show you a snuff film, and he's trying to find the source of that snuff film, right? Because it's very important. There's something shown in the snuff film that could break the masquerade, so you have to go figure that out. Who made the snuff film? You have all these people around you. Some of them are incredibly charismatic, and they want you eating out of the palm of their hand, and you have to decide whether or not you will entertain them, make them feel like you're simping for them because you're trying to get something out of them, and they're trying to get something out of you. This is very reminiscent of Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines, especially with the owner of Vesuvius nightclub. I remember that mission very well. Anyone who ever played that mission will definitely remember the nightclub owner. Ooh la la. And even though she was incredibly charismatic and super sultry, you just knew she was incredibly dangerous and you didn't want to make her bad, but you could if you wanted to. But I mean, just the atmosphere of this game, the people you meet, the people you get attached to, the different stories. Then there's like this underground business of chop. It's like a human chop shop, right? And it reminds me so much of that body clinic that you find in Santa Monica. And come to find out, like it was a prosthetics clinic actually. And come to find out, the guy was literally chopping people up in Bloodlines. That was that game, and you have that going on here too. You have different factions warring against each other, very much reminiscent of the experience that I had with Bloodlines as well. And my biggest fear is that like every time I think about Bloodlines when I'm playing this game, I am also very worried about Bloodlines 2 because the post-alpha footage that the developer was showing off like a few days ago, I could tell, you could just tell like they were incredibly proud of it. But as someone who has put over 1,000 hours in Bloodlines way back in the day, I can honestly say I'm not excited about Bloodlines 2. They did not show us enough. Like, they need to show us more than just. They need to show us more than just two women talking. And again, I'm also concerned because in this game, you get started out on the low end of things, right? And you kind of have to work your way up. Bloodlines was very much like that. A one night stand for you turns into an encounter with a vampire. You thought you were just hooking up for the night, and they decided to turn you into a vampire. So you get to start off on the ground floor because your sire gets murdered. Well, they get executed for turning you without the permission of the Camarilla. And this game has the same, like a similar vibe where everything starts off is you just start off on the ground level and you're having to work your way up through a very complex story that's much, much bigger than you, right? Very much like this game, but in the second game, like in the second Bloodlines game, they're going to so lady, so you having a hard time? Maybe. It's funny. But yeah, like you become an elder. You're going to start off as an elder in the second game, and I don't know how I feel about that because that puts you at the forefront of a lot of things that you, the player, may not be aware of, right? And I don't know how that's going to work out. I really don't. That's like that would be like in this game if you were a boss, right? If you were a boss and that automatically puts the player at a disadvantage because the character you're playing is automatically more knowledgeable about things than you are. But they've decided to go that route with Bloodlines 2, where you're going to be an elder. So you are automatically supposed to know things you may not know, right? It'd be different if you were just made a vampire and then you could learn the world through the experience of your character. They're not going to do that in the second game. I don't know how I feel about that. They're not showing us any raw footage currently of like a snippet of like maybe a mission that kind of encompasses everything that you're going to experience in the game. They didn't show us that. They didn't show us anything of that kind. I was really concerned about that. It's like Dead Island 2 gave like Dan Busters gave us a what was it? 20-minute footage, in-game footage of stuff you would be doing. They showed you a side mission. They showed you how you'd be fighting zombies, the different stuff you could fight zombies with, how the environmental threats would work that you could use to your advantage against zombies. They gave you a taste of actual game footage, and we have yet to see that from Bloodlines 2. So I don't get any good vibes whatsoever. But as it currently stands, I feel like Cyberpunk 2077 is spoiling me so badly that it's fixed, like it's a Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines fix for me because I haven't played that game in so long. And that used to be my game. Like that was my thing. And it wasn't a perfect game, not by any stretch of the imagination. Like that game was buggy as shit. Like the opening cutscene was so awful. Like it was like it took so long for that cutscene to go on because it was so choppy and laggy and there's no way to skip it. So the best thing to do if you wanted to start a new game was to start the opening cutscene, walk away, go make yourself something to eat, and then come back and maybe then you'd get to start to play the game because it just dragged on because it was so broken. And then like you would have other bugs like your apartment in the downtown area. I remember like there was this weird glitch. Sometimes if you would go into the basement of the apartment that you had in the downtown area, all the doorknobs were replaced with a poster of this popular actress. You would see, what was her name? Tawny. Was that her name, Tawny? Or was it the other girl's name? Well, you would see these posters a lot, and come to find out, like, you eventually meet up with her, and it turns out that she was turned into a Nosferatu. So she has to live in the Warrens with the rest of the Nosferatu, and she's none too happy because all of her gorgeous looks have been erased, right? She's a Nosferatu now. And you can actually do a mission where you go and kind of get revenge on her by digging up some dirt on the chick that replaced her in terms of like she was hot in the social sphere and then she disappears because she was turned into a Nosferatu, and now she's so jealous of the girl that replaced her in terms of like music and movies that she wants you to find some dirt on that girl so that way it ruins her career just out of sheer spite. And you can do that mission. You find missions like that in this game too. So I mean, there's so many unintentional parallels between Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and this game. It helps remind me just how uninterested I was to see the alpha footage for Bloodlines 2 and how concerned I am about that game. I don't see me getting a pre-order in for that game. They're going to have to prove a lot to me and a lot to us. Like, we're not a huge community, but we were diehard fans of the original game. So they're going to have to prove a lot. But Cyberpunk 2077 has proven to be like such a fantastic, engrossing experience that brings me back to a game that is my #1 favorite game of all time, you know? And it makes me very worried about its sequel, which we don't know a whole lot about, and what little we have seen so far, I'm not impressed. Very sad. But on the bright side, at least I have Cyberpunk 2077, so there's that. Anyway, so yeah, this is a little video I wanted to do talking about how I believe Cyberpunk 2077 may have ruined my excitement for Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Yeah, I think this game has ruined it for me because there's so much about the original game in this game for me. The second game, well, they're going to have to do a little more than what I've seen so far. I don't know. I don't know, because this game just, I don't know, it's like, it's so classic GTA. It's like old time Vice City, San Andreas, classic GTA meets like Fallout New Vegas-y, and it's got these moments that bring me back to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines too. Like it's checking boxes I didn't even know I needed to be checked. That's crazy. What is that? The passion. Oh, oh, look at that. That's a reference to the that one movie Mel Gibson directed, The Passion. Yeah. How about that? Yeah, like the more you look around this world, like the more you see like some really cool stuff. Like that's pretty cool. This is really neat. Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna like this game because I didn't like GTA 5. GTA 5, it was so stale. And I felt like it was missing something from the older GTA games, and I couldn't put my finger on it. You know, it had no character unto itself, right? I don't know, it just felt empty. Like when I was told to get in a tow truck and tow vehicles around, something about that just bored the shit out of me, so I put it down. And I didn't think I'd like Cyberpunk because, well, I didn't like GTA 5. But Cyberpunk is nothing like GTA 5. Like, you get a mission, there's so many different ways that you can execute, like, you can finish that mission. Like, the game doesn't lead you around by the nose and forces you to do everything exactly the way it wants you to do. You can stealth your way, you can strong arm your way through it, you can sneak around, you can use your cybernetic abilities to get the upper hand. Like there's so many different ways to approach a situation, it's not even funny. You know, and I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto 5 never let me do, like, the few things that I did do in the game, it didn't let me do anything my way. Red Dead Redemption 2 doesn't let you do anything your way either, but it makes up for it in like the things it's really strong at, and its presentation and just being overall a lovable game. All right. Like I hate the mission structures in Red Dead Redemption 2, but I love Arthur and I'm willing to go through anything to hang out with him, even if I have to do shitty style missions just to hang out with him a little longer. So, but anyway, yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 may have ruined me on Bloodlines 2 because it reminds me so much of the original game, and that is not something I've seen reflected in the footage I've seen for Bloodlines 2 yet. And I'm very concerned about that project. So, anyway, yeah, there you go. Anyway, you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will catch you on the flip side.